Hey y'all, it's your friend D, and this is part 2 of the Barbie village build. Now in this video, we'll be making a gazebo, but before we get into that, I want to go back to part 1 where we made the storefronts. Now I still have a couple that I haven't completed yet, and I read some of you guys' comments on the first one, and Robin, aka Composing Chaos, she suggested the sponge method, and I had completely forgot about that method. So I'm so glad she suggested it to me because when I made my stone for the building, when I painted it, I used a brush and I went in my stash and I tried to find a sponge. You would think during spring cleaning I would have some sponges, but the only one I could find is this one that attaches to a cleaning wand. So I'm going to just peel this off. Okay, guys, so I played around with it a little bit, and I think I'm going to get some good texture out of this. I think I'm going to use this area. So let's see what happens here. So I have my two colors because I already have the dark gray on this one. So I'm going to go in with this medium. And yeah, I haven't cleaned my palette yet, but I'm going to go in with that, get some of it off. And let's see what happens, guys. Might have taken a little bit too much off, but better to have too little than too much. So guys, I did some of the medium paint or the medium gray at the top portion only. Um, and I think just like with this one, I have to see what it's going to look like with all the layers on it. Because once again, I'm tempted to keep going with the medium gray, but I don't know if it's going to be too much. So we're going to try some of the lighter gray now, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like. So guys, I lost my audio, so quick voiceover here. I do like the sponge method. I just need to keep practicing at it. And I'm debating to keep adding more of the light gray. Because of the dark trim on the doors and windows, the buildings are looking a little too dark for me. So I may have to just keep going in, lightening that gray up. Or just take the light gray and just cover the buildings in that and just call it done. So let me know in the comments what you think I should do. So until a decision is made on the storefronts, I'm just going to move on and figure out how to make a gazebo. So guys, I have a piece of Dollar Tree foam board here, and as you can see, I've already marked my center on this. And this is, the entire piece is 12 inches by 12 inches. And I've decided that instead of keeping it a square, because I was thinking that would just be the easy thing to do, I want to do an octagon because in my head, my village has a octagon shaped gazebo. And the only thing with the octagon is I can't make mine a perfect octagon where all the sides are equal. So it's going to be, customized to how it can fit in my village and I can get the most space out of it. Because if I cut all my sides equal amounts to make that work, it's going to take away the amount of space that my dolls have to actually be in there and for me to take pictures. So I'm going to customize this a little bit. And I already made my marks of where I'm going to kind of make my cuts. So you can see a mark here, and that's 3 inches from the corner. Then I have another one here, 3 inches from the corner. So I'm going to draw lines and cut these corners off. So I'll be back after I do that. All right, guys, before I make the cuts, I wanted to show you, just in case I didn't explain it well. So as you can see, from this mark to that mark, I just made a straight line. And this is the part that I'm going to cut off. So I did that all the way around. Okay, guys, so I have my octagon shape cut out, and yeah, so it came out pretty good. And as you can see, it's not a true octagon. These corners or sides here are a little bit shorter, but the larger pieces are going to be the parts that have like the openings where the dolls can either walk in or just see out of. So I'm going to cut out two more of these. So guys, I have my three pieces cut here, and the top two are the same measurements. I just used the top one to trace it and then cut out another one. But for the third one, I decided to make it a little bit wider. So I traced out, you can see the original line there, and then I measured out 1/4 of an inch. So I would have this kind of a trim going around, or a little ledge. So yeah, so it'll sit like that. And I thought about making each piece like a mini stair step just to add to it. But I didn't want to do that because I knew I couldn't really keep taking away from the main platform, the top part, because I want to keep as much space for the dolls as possible. And I couldn't really keep adding space at the bottom. So yeah, I decided to just go with this. And I think that's going to look pretty nice once it's all glued together and painted. But we're not going to glue these together just yet. I need to work on my walls. So guys, I got my measurements for the entryways and kind of like the windows um, of the gazebo. So the larger spots, I'll show you here. So as you remember, we had some shorter sides and some longer sides. The longer sides are all going to be open to where the dolls can enter through. So the walls of each side is going to be 16 inches tall. The top of the arch of the entryway is at 14 inches at the very top. And the entryway itself, from the outside edges of the entryway, is going to be 5 3/4 an inch. The inside is 4 3/4 an inch. And that's for the larger one. Now for the shorter sides, the wall is the same height. So we have 16 at the very top, and then we have 14 at the top of the arch. But down at the bottom, we have 4 inches from the edges, and on the inside of this archway, it's going to be 3 inches. So like I said, all of the larger ones are going to serve as openings to where your dog can, I can position the dog to look like they're walking in, and I can also take pictures through these openings. These openings are going to serve more as windows. I don't know if I'm going to do a lattice or something across it, um, or I'm thinking trying to do a wrought iron look with some little, what is it called? I can't think of the actual name, but swirly pieces. So that is something I'm thinking about for that. But let's cut out these pieces and we'll go from there. So guys, I have most of my pieces cut out. I have all but one of the larger and all but one of the shorter side. And I realized at this point, as I'm getting to the last couple of pieces, that I messed up. And I think the larger ones are okay. I don't need to do anything else to those. But for the more narrow sides, I should have left, since I'm going to be using these as more as a window, I shouldn't have cut all the way down like I did on this one. It'll be okay. I think it'll look good if I do the entire window in a lattice or something like that. It would look good, but I think it would add more stability to the overall piece if I would have left some of the poster board down here. So I'm thinking about going back and adding some of the pieces that I cut out, just cutting a few inches of it and gluing it back in there. So I think that's what I may do. So guys, here we are with everything put together, held together with tape, just some painter's tape. And I wanted to get an idea of what it would all look like and if it's going to fit the base the way I was hoping. And I think I did pretty good on my measurements for the walls. There are some gaps here and there, but for now it's held up with tape, so I can't expect too much. So if I do have to go back and tweak my measurements any, it's going to be very little. So I did go back and add some of the pieces back into the shorter walls. I put, I think it was 5 inches in height. So I added those pieces that I cut out previously. Let me turn it around some so you can see. So yeah, I just took the bottom piece, bottom 5 inches of this cutout that I had left over and just glued it back in there. And these pieces are going to be more like windows. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do lattice work or a faux wrought iron look there. But I think this is going to work out pretty good. And the height is going to be good for a Ken doll. So we have Roger, and so you can see there's plenty of headroom for him to walk in the entryways. And when he's inside, he's not hitting his head. Yeah, and there's plenty of room for one or probably at least three more dolls to be in there comfortably. So guys, I think my next step is going to be working on attaching all of the pieces, all of the top pieces. I'm still not going to glue the base just yet because I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the floor and on the inside. But the outside corners here and on the inside of the corners, I'm going to add some columns using some of those leftover dowel rods I had from the shops that I did in the first video. And I'm going to add them to the corner to hide the seams as well as to add some extra support to this piece. So you'll be able to see the columns on the outside as well as on the inside corners. So I think that's going to help. So yeah, I think that's the next step that I need to do. So guys, I'm going to switch gears and not do the walls first. I'm going to work on my floor. I think that'll be the best way to go because once I start attaching the walls, I think I'm going to need the base to go ahead and just attach them to make sure they're fitted in the right spot. Because I'm afraid if I glue them together separately from the wall, the my corners may not be um, have the perfect angle for when I do move the walls onto the base. So I'm going to use this peel and stick removable wall tile from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not going to be gluing it down. It doesn't have a lot of, I don't know if you can see here, if I turn it like this, it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of rise to the design. So even if I went over it with different uh, paints, like, using a dark color, light color on top of that, try to bring this design out, I don't think it's going to work very well. So what I'm hoping to do is take the design and really use this tool that I got from the Dollar Tree. I used it in the previous video and go over it, and I'm hoping to embed this design into the foam board. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll return and show you how well it worked or how well it didn't work. So guys, here's our floor with the impression in it. I think it came out pretty good. So yeah, I just took this piece, laid it on top, and traced out the portions that I wanted. I left these borders off with the little circles. I didn't want that part. So instead, I framed it with just 2 squares. And I think that looks really nice. And here's all the pieces glued together. Okay, guys, so I've started gluing the walls to the base. And I have 5 of the walls in place right now. And I've also decided to leave these little window areas that have the ledge, leave those open. I'm not going to put any kind of lattice work or anything in there. I think it would be pretty, but I need to let as much light into this structure as possible. So I'm just going to leave those open for now. And I also added, let me see if I have an extra one to show you. I added these little strips of paperboard that I had left over from I think this was some canned drinks came in this. And I cut them about 1/4 of an inch wide. and just put them on the inside of the openings just to help clean that up a little bit. And I also added to these panels here this little, I don't know if that's supposed to be a flower, but it's mimicking the center of our floor. So I put that on the outside and on the inside of those panels. I just think that would be a nice little touch, bringing everything together. Now I'm going to leave the back open for now while I work on the front walls because I still have to go and remove some more of this paper off of the foam board. And I wanted to glue these in place first because Dollar Tree foam board has a tendency to warp when you take the paper off. So I wanted to make sure that these walls were not going to warp on me. So that's why I went ahead and glued these in place. And now I can go back and start taking this paper off. I took it off these panels already, but I need to take it off the top here. And I'm also going to be adding in my dowel rods, which I've cut to 14 inches. And they'll be in the corners here. And that'll also help to keep the walls straighter and just add some more stability to the whole structure. Guys, this is the progress that I've made on it. I have some of the columns glued in place on the front side that I'm working on, and I have the baseboard here. And on the inside, we do have some of the supports in and the baseboards. I still have to add some trim underneath these kind of window parts. And I have to do that front and on the outside. Now I think I'm going to stop right here because these columns, now that I have them in place, I kind of think I want to completely cover that and make the columns wider. So I would have to have 5 in each section instead of just the 3. And I don't have enough of these rods on hand right now to do that. So I have to wait until I can get back to the store and see if they still have these longer rods. So I don't want to glue anything else in place yet until I know for sure. So my friends, that's going to be it for this video. And if you have any questions about anything I did in this video, please leave it in the comments below. If you have any tips and tricks, also leave those in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.